Cassissima and Confi berries. Why the new fruit color is black. Welcome to Gardeners Radio by Lubera-Edibles, the podcast for professional gardeners. We are talking about edible plants. At the moment, we sell more blueberries into the hobby market than currants and gooseberries together. But what should happen with these specialties in the future? These and other questions will be answered today by Markus Kobelt. My name is Frederik Vollert. I work at Lubera-Edibles and I'm responsible for product development.
And I'm Markus Kobelt. I'm co-founder of Lubera-Edibles together with my friend Rupert Meyer. And I'm founder of Lubera. And there I'm responsible for almost everything, especially breeding. And so we are producing the stuff out of which Frederik then chooses the varieties Lubera-Edibles is selling to professional gardeners around Europe. So that's my role.
So Markus, why do you also work on these very special kind of fruits?
Yeah, Cinderella species. Yes, that's a good question. Yeah, when you would have to choose on a strategical base, you would choose strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries. That's it. Yeah, blueberries are eating the berry world, so they are now the number 2 crop after strawberries, and before raspberries, they will become the number 1 crop. But if you look at the home garden market, I'm not sure if that's the right way. Of course, we are nowadays also breeding blueberries. Yeah, that's a good thing, and we have good material. We will bring a new type of blueberry, which are really 2-timers, so with 2 really crops, not only a little bit blooming at the end, but really 2 crops. But there is one big difficulty with blueberries, that's soil. You have to have a ericaceous soil, a deep pH below 5, and that's almost not everywhere. And black currants, for example, and gooseberries and Jostas are much easier. You can plant them everywhere, and they are growing and they are fruiting. So easiness, adaptability are big things in the home garden. So that's the reason we are also developing other minor crops, also other even more minor crops than black currants. And we will do it also for the future, because we think that in the future there will be also growth with these types of fruit. And it's home garden is also about diversity and not only about success. And for this diversity, I think Josta and especially black currants are important.
And what points do you want to reach with your breeding work on these special berries?
Yeah, our black currant breeding program is much too big. So that came step after step. We started with the right crosses. We received fantastic breeding material through a friend, Martin Weber, and sources from Ukraine and Russia. And based on this material, our speed in breeding was very fast, and breeding goals are resistant. So nowadays our newer black currant varieties are really almost, it's no mildew at all. So really resistant, much better than tolerant gooseberries. So 20 years ago, it was the other way around. Tolerant gooseberries were more resistant than black currants. Nowadays, it's really black currant which have healthy leaves till end of September. And so resistance. Then fruit size. We are now with the biggest varieties at 2 centimeters. Huge. It's a new plant, a new fruit. And then strict size, the size of the trusses. So combination of size of fruit size of trusses. So the biggest one is what's the name of the variety? So I'm out. I don't. I'm missing the word. It's black bells. Black bells, where you have the combination of the rather big fruits, about more than 1 centimeter, and you have 8 fruits per truss. And then we have black marble, which is more than 1.5 centimeters. So these are the 2 types. And then fruit quality, higher sugar, sometimes lower acidity, or another type of acidity which is milder than before. When I remember the black currants of my childhood, you wouldn't like to eat them. I hate them. They were for jelly, they were for juice, for everything, but not really to eat. Yeah, we were, even when we had in summertime to pick currants for my mother, we were even eating big amounts of red currants, but we wouldn't eat black currants. So, but nowadays that has changed. So more sugar, less acidity, rounder, and small seeds. Of course, very small seed is an advantage to other fruits, especially to red currants. So it's really. I think over the last 20 years, black currants is perhaps the fruit species where we have made the biggest progress.
Okay, and what would you say? How does a blackcurrant assortment look like?
Yeah, good combination of fruit quality and fruit size is black marble. Combination of fruit quality and trusses is black bells. Fruit quality, only fruit quality with a high sugar content and low cassis aroma is no aroma. High sugar and high cassis aroma is nimue. Compact growth is little black sugar, and red leaves in the summer is black and red. So that's a huge assortment, and every variety has a clear, unique selling proposition.
Okay, thank you for explaining us about the blackcurrant and how this goes on with Josta berries.
Yeah, I was always rather skeptical about Josta berries because they were bred to find a new type of fruit in between gooseberries and black currants, and the result was more a black currant. Nowadays, when we have real black currant with 2 centimeters, why should we have Josta berries with below 2 centimeters? So that's a question. And the other thing, so it was difficult to describe what is the unique selling proposition of Josta berries, and they have a second problem, which was how do you say fruit crop. Too much growing, too less crop, not enough fruits, and it was the problem. By breeding further, in the end, we produced crosses between different types of Josta berries, and we received the seeds from a friend, and we grew them, and we selected out of a big population. And so by growing this type further, so we solved to 80-90% this fruiting problem. So they are more compact now, much more compact, and they have really high yield comparable with a blackcurrant. So that's the good thing. I think we also made progress with the unique selling proposition because we name them now. We prefer to name them
Confi-berry.
So for confiture berries, because that's the unique selling proposition. I know in UK you have lots of gooseberry marmalade, but I always think it's a little bit old-fashioned. It has a little bit an old tone, and with Josta berry you don't have this. And I would like to have really a blackcurrant marmalade or confiture, but Josta berry is just fantastic, and also juices. So that's the unique selling proposition, and we have now the crop, and so that's advantage. So the new Josta varieties are much more fruitful than the old ones, and they are more compact growing. Still, they have a more it's a nicer bush. It has a better crop on older wood. So as a plant, you don't have to renew the stems as fast as with black currants. So you really can have 3, 4, 5-year-old stems and they are still fruitful. So that's advantage. And so every year, the first 3, 4 years, you don't prune at all. And then you step in by pruning every year one stem away. In black currants, you have to prune much, much faster and harder to have a fruitful bush. So that's the advantage.
And what is the assortment of Josta berries at the moment at Lubera?
Yeah, from the new varieties, it's your fruity, which is the most compact one, so about 120 centimeters, really comparable with a black currant. It's not bigger; it's even smaller a little bit. You couldn't imagine an old Josta variety is more 4 meters than 3 meters, and so 120 centimeters is really compact. So your fruity with the very fruity, it's a little bit smaller than the other varieties, 1.3 centimeters, for example, and it's a little bit has more red, a little bit more gooseberry in it. But in the end, it's also a more a blackberry, and it's still red in the end. But you have also to wait till it's becoming darker, and then the juice is coming in and the sugar is coming in. Then we have Yodeli, which has perhaps the best eating quality, is the only variety I would recommend as a fresh eating variety, because fresh eating is not really the important point at Josta berries, but this variety, Yodeli, it's possible. And then we have a later variety, interesting for picking, which is more in August than in July, Augusto, and it's about 180 centimeters, so a little bit more growing, but not as the old varieties. And all have a very good crop.
And what do you say? Will you go further with Josta breeding at Lubera, or just
not as a big project, but as a side project? Yes, you know, when you look at how did the Josta berry work in the middle of the century, so they used Mr. Bauer and other breeders. They used black currant varieties with 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters size. Now we are at 2 centimeters. They used mildew susceptible varieties for growing. Now we have mildew resistant varieties. On the gooseberry size, the advantage is not so big. I think we have better eating varieties, not bigger varieties, but better eating varieties, rather good mildew tolerant varieties, perhaps seedless varieties, thornless varieties. But there the advantage is not so big. But the constraining moment in Jostas till now was the blackberries, blackcurrant side, yeah, because small fruits. And now when we have 2 centimeters, so we could hope to have much, much bigger, perhaps too big Josta berries. So we are doing these crosses. You know, you have then a diploid result, which is not really fruitful because the genes of the black currants and the genes of the gooseberries don't understand themselves together. They cannot communicate. They have problems at the meios. And so then you have to double the chromosomes with colchicine. And then by doubling the chromosomes, they can understand themselves with themselves. So it's becoming better. Communication is becoming better. Not really good. That's the reason of the low crop level. And so, yeah, we will, on a small scale, we will try to repeat the same process with better varieties.
Okay, sounds good and very interesting for the future. And so, what is your personal breeder's dream? How will it go on with Cassissima?
Yes, perhaps 2 sides. One is to make out of the Cinderella blackberry a very fashionable ornamental bush with red leaves. So there we have started with black and red. I think we will have further varieties with nicer red leaves, earlier red leaves, perhaps better fruit quality, but the fruit quality is good. The crop of black and red is not very big. But I think this is a good breeding. And the second is really to make a new crop. Already today, black currants are really a new crop if you compare with the blackberries of 20, 30 years ago. So big, so good to eat, so juicy. What we have to do is to develop varieties at the 2 centimeter level, which are not bloating at the point where they are attached to the plant. So that's the same process which the first breeders of blueberries did instinctively in the beginning of the 20th century in New Jersey when Mr. Kobelt selected the first blueberry varieties. He selected for the non-bloating varieties. And the same now we have to do a little bit later with black currants. And then I think we would have a very interesting crop, not only for the home garden, so picking all the berries with 2 hands and having them in a bowl and eating fruit after fruit, and not to have strix where you have to strip the strix and then you have to make juice or something like that. No, berry after berry as a snack, yeah, and like blueberries. And you are also buying blueberries in the bowl, and children are taking one fruit after another. That would be the same. And that's my dream. And there, the breeding for the home garden market, the new concentration on the home garden market, resistant, easy, better to eat, especially better to eat and resistance, is now going into a new level where we will develop varieties which could even be interesting for the professional fruit growing. So that's the other way around than the normal process where other breeders are breeding for the professional fruit growing. As a side product, they have home garden varieties. We do the other way around, and we hope with even more success.
Okay, thank you, Markus. Thank you for your for explaining these very special but also very interesting berries. And so we are finished now for today. And thank you for listening our podcast. If you have questions or comment, you can write it. You can send it directly to me at Frederik.Vollert@Lubera-Edibles.com. We are also happy if you would listen to our next podcast about sweet leaf raspberry, a very special, a very new, special kind of rubus. So thank you for listening and have a fruitful day.
Go home gardening. Thank you very much. Thanks for hearing Gardeners Radio by Lubera-Edibles. You find us on every platform for podcasts, Spotify, Apple, and of course on our website www.Lubera-Edibles.com. Go on gardening.